Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My daughter just fell asleep. I'm actually watching her sleep right now. She's in her crib. So I decided to just do this video that actually somebody requested, but it's something that I thought about doing and I thought I should do it now since Elias is with his grandma and then baby girl is sleeping. What I do want to talk about is basically a lot of people say epidural, no epidural, what should I do? Should I consider it? Or, if you're thinking about going natural or anything. Well, my first delivery with my son was with an epidural. I got an epidural and then with my daughter it was completely natural. So I want to just kind of like talk about the difference, although obviously every labor is different, every woman is different, so we all have different experiences when it comes to that. But I want to share mine, and especially what helped me with my daughter's delivery, so I can go all natural. And honestly, it does make a big difference if you prepare for it, if you watch videos like this or any other videos out there, because that's what I did. I watched a lot of these videos just talking about the difference or how to prep for it and stuff like that. So I just wanted to do like a quick one from my point of view, from my perspective, how everything went, since it's kind of really fresh for me. My kids are only 2 years apart, so there's a lot of things that I pretty much remember everything. So that's what I kind of want to talk about, so let's get into it. If you have been watching my other videos before, you guys know that for both of my labors I did get induced. My first one with my son 2 years ago, I was medically induced at 39 weeks, and that was because of my history of kidney stones. They just wanted to be safe and check the baby and check me to take care of my kidney stones, and that's why I got induced. When it came to getting induced, as well for my daughter, I got induced at 40 weeks 2 days. So for her, I actually finished I got to my due date and she was not coming out, so they induced me as well. With her, there was not really a risk for her or anything like that, so it was something that they decided to do, and I was up for it. When it came to the getting induced, the process is very similar. Everything is like checking in, getting this started, getting that started, whatever. But with my son, I was at 2 centimeters when I got there. When I got to the hospital, I was 2 centimeters. And then with my daughter, I was actually 4 centimeters. So it did make a big difference. Now, when it comes to how dilated you are, honestly, it doesn't matter how dilated you are, because once you start labor in the hospital, whether you're induced or you're going through labor, your body knows what to do. So whether you were completely closed or at 5 or 6 or 4, it doesn't really matter. It's just how your body is reacting to it. But the real deal starts once labor starts. Once labor starts, that's when things start picking up, your contractions and your dilation, like I was saying. So the dilation doesn't really matter. Don't feel bad or don't feel stressed if you go to your doctors and you're 39 weeks, 40 weeks, and you're still at a 1, you're still at a 0, like you're at a 2 and you've been a 2 for like the past 5 weeks or whatever. It doesn't matter. Literally, it does not matter. It's great that you've made some progress, but when you go to the hospital and you're getting induced and your labor starts, or you're naturally going to labor, that's when your body actually starts dilating. But before that, it doesn't matter whether or not you're closed or you're at a 5. Like I said, it's great that you've made some progress, but you could go once you go into labor, you could dilate pretty quickly. A lot of women actually go through that. Some other women, of course, they struggle, and that was me with my first with my son. Since I was 39 weeks, I was 2 centimeters dilated. When I got to the hospital, I literally spent about 48 hours of my labor at a 4. I was not progressing, like literally, like it was like a 4 and a 5, like in between there, but I was there and I was 4 centimeters for more than 24 hours, and they were about to send me home when well, they told me, this is what they told me. They're like, oh, you're not making any progress, you know, we're gonna stop your induction, you can go home and you can come back in another 24 hours. And I was like, nope, I am staying because I came to get induced, so I want to keep, you know, making progress, I guess. So I started like bouncing on the ball and doing some squats and stuff, because at first I felt like I was just sitting there and well, I was just laying down waiting for my body to do the work, and it was my first, so I really didn't do enough research. And that's what you should do, honestly. If it's your first, second, third, whatever, just kind of prep your mind and your body to it, because that makes a huge difference. So by research, I mean like, you know, like kind of just reading what happens to your body, what can help your body, you know, drinking a lot of water, walking, exercise, all that kind of stuff. It will help your body kind of like prepare a little bit for labor, you know. But no matter how much you prepare, sometimes your labor doesn't go as planned. And with my son, I didn't really prepare for it. I watched a lot of videos, and I think that's why I thought like I knew what was coming, but I did not know. I had no idea, you know. So I would just watch videos, see other moms go through labor, and I thought, well, I'll have my baby the same day I get induced. That's what a lot of women go through. No, that didn't happen to me. I got there at 7 a.m. Well, my induction started at 7 a.m. August 8th, 7 a.m. That's when they started, you know, my Pitocin and all of that. I didn't deliver my son until August 10th at 9 a.m. That's about 50 hours of pretty much labor. But the real labor starts when you're actually transitioning. That's when pretty much either, well, most likely your water broke or your water was broken, and that's when it starts, like the real deal starts. Your pain for the contractions get 100 times worse. And when I started with my son, I remember that I was managing the pain so cool. I was like, oh, I got this, you know, like they're not that bad. I felt like the cramping and the discomfort of my belly contracting, but I had no idea what was waiting for me. And so after about 40 hours of being in labor, just kind of like chilling. No, I would say about 30 hours, because I remember it was like one day passed, and then at nighttime they were like, girl, you're not making any progress, you're still at a 4, we might send you home, you know. And I was just like, I do not want to go home. Literally, I want to have this baby. I'm already at the hospital, I'm already here, let's do whatever I gotta do. So they tried to break my water. Well, they told me, and it was about 30 hours into labor, right? Well, that I was in the hospital having my contractions, and I was there at 4. And they asked me, well, they told me that they were gonna break my water. They checked, and my son had not dropped. My son was still high, like high. He was not ready to come out. And they were like, well, your baby's pretty high, we can't break your water, many things can happen, the cord may get stuck, you know, and stuff like that, and that's more dangerous. So I started doing a lot of squats, I started jumping on the ball and stuff just so he would drop. And that was around like 7 p.m. Yeah, about 7 p.m. And then at 2 a.m. August 10th, that's when they were like, okay, we gotta break your water, you know. And then they tried again, and he was a little bit lower, but not there yet. But right there I was already at 5 centimeters, so I had made a little bit of progress on me moving around, because at first I was literally just laying on my bed waiting for my body to do the work, just, you know, chilling and stuff, like managing my contractions, because they were not bad at all. So like, keep in mind, right there, I didn't have the epidural. I got to 5 centimeters by like around 2 a.m. And then at 3 a.m., like at 3:30, they came to check me again, and that's when they break my water. My water breaks. Literally, guys, once your water breaks, it's like, I don't know, like, I can't even explain it. Everything around you gets crazier, pretty much. And I started feeling the crazy contractions right away. Like, it was about 15-20 minutes after they broke my water, and I just felt it. Like, it's like a bucket of cold water on a freezing morning, you know what I mean? Like, it was just, I can't even describe it. It just came to you. And that's what happened to me. I didn't know that they were gonna get that crazy that fast, because I was like chilling at first, and then they literally broke my water 15 minutes later. I was freaking out. I was like, I cannot do this. Like, I was holding my husband's hand and my mom, trying to like rub my back and stuff like that. And I was like, I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it. And that's all I would say as I was getting my contraction. Like, I would just like freak out. I didn't even try to breathe. I literally tried. It felt like I was trying to hold a baby in. Like, my body would tense, and I would just like do this, and I would try to close my legs, because I felt like my son just going down. And that's literally the transitioning. Once transition starts, that's when your most painful contraction starts. But that's a sign that pretty much labor is about to end, because your baby is literally on the birth canal or trying to get there, you know. In labor, it's all about you and your control of your body and your breathing and your contractions. And I know that sounds crazy, but let me explain it. Okay, so with my son, after I started freaking out and stuff, I would pass out in between contractions. Like, my contraction would come and it was extremely painful, and I would just like boom, and I felt like I was out. I wasn't really out, but I felt like it. I was just so exhausted and stuff like that. And my doctor kept coming in. She was coming in like every 30 minutes, because I'm pretty sure she was like, oh girl, like, I want this to be over already. I've dealt with you for too long. Just get the freaking epidural. And that's what she kept telling me. She kept telling me, get the epidural. It's gonna be quicker. It's gonna be better for you. You're too tired. You're not gonna be able to push. And I just kept telling her, no, I want to do it natural. I want to do it natural. I want to do it natural. And that's why literally I got to the hospital with the idea of, I want to do it natural, because I had the vision of my perfect labor, and I was gonna be so beautiful doing it with my son in my hands and stuff like that. No, that didn't happen. And I felt like I had way too high of an expectation for my first, and so that bit me on the butt, because then she just kept coming in, and until about 5:40 in the morning, I would say, not even 5:40, it was like 6 a.m. I remember like the sun was coming out. Anyways, I remember that time when she came and she asked me if I wanted the epidural. I was like, fine, just give me the epidural. I can't do this no more. And I was just crying and crying and crying. And I remember I would say like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do this, because I don't know why, but just because you get or don't get the epidural doesn't make you a better mom or a bigger warrior, I guess I can say. And I know that now. And I felt like with my son, I just thought, if I get the epidural, I'm weak, you know, like I'm not strong or blah blah blah. But that's not the truth. Labor, literally, like, throw that out the window. Every freaking mom that goes through labor, whether it's C-section or natural or whatever, you're a freaking warrior and you should be proud of it. Anyway, so yeah, so once they gave me the epidural, girl, I was knocked out pretty much. I fell asleep almost right away. I was completely exhausted. And so once the epidural hit and I didn't feel any more pain, and I was like, what is this? Like, is this normal? But yeah, it was completely normal. I was still having the crazy ass contractions, but I didn't feel no pain whatsoever. And you could like see the muscles in my belly just like pushing the baby down, 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 and I was knocked out. And that was the best part about it, because after I got the epidural, literally everything went like this. Like, next thing you know, I was asleep at 7. They came to wake me up at 9 because my baby's head was about to come out. Like, literally, and that happens. I've heard of people that get the epidural, they sleep, and next thing you know, the baby's almost out. And that was kind of my case. Like, I was almost crowning and everything, and the baby was like right there. So everything, like, they started prepping, and that's when I started shivering. And I'm pretty sure you've had the epidural before, or if you're planning to get the epidural, just know that around the time you're about to push, you're gonna start shivering, or even when you get the epidural, you're gonna be shivering the whole time. And so I started like shaking and stuff, and somehow my body decided to get a fever. And so they were like, oh my goodness, you have a fever, let's get this baby out, 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 out. So after the epidural happened, everything went by so fast. It was crazy fast. And I started pushing around 9:00 something. Well, my baby came out 30 minutes later at 9:31. I did not tear. Thankfully, I did not tear. But let me tell you about my pushing, because this is my biggest difference. Well, the difference between both of my labors, it was the pushing. And let me tell you why. So with my son, the pushing was so almost peaceful that I was not stressing. The only thing was I didn't know how hard I was pushing. So they told me harder and harder and harder. And I was trying to push like basically like you're pooping out your baby, but I wasn't sure if I was doing it right, because you have no feeling whatsoever. You don't know how hard you're pushing or where you're pushing from. You can't even pick up your legs. You can't even feel them. So that's the only thing with the epidural, was that I wasn't sure how hard I was pushing. I wasn't sure what I was pushing out, if you know what I mean. So honestly, that's the only thing that I would question the epidural about. But it was, when it comes to pushing, I was chilling. I was not stressed. They would just tell me push harder, and I would just push harder, and that was pretty much it. But until the baby came out, you know. So I just kept doing pretty much the same kind of pushing, because I wasn't sure how hard I was pushing until my baby came out. Now let me talk about my daughter's labor. With my daughter, once I got induced, I was already 4 centimeters when I got to the hospital. I got to 5 pretty quickly, to be honest. So, and at this time, it was all natural. I came with the mindset of, I'm going to try my best to do natural, but if it comes to a point where I know deep inside that I am getting tired, and I know deep inside that I'm not making any progress, then I will request the epidural, because that was the best decision I made with my son, you know. So once I was once I was in labor for my daughter, my contractions started really quickly. I was already 4 centimeters, so I was, you know, almost halfway there. And once they gave me, I think they gave me Pitocin. They gave me some doses of Pitocin, and with my son, with the Pitocin, I got to almost like the highest level, which I believe is like 20 or something like that. I got to the highest level, and I was still not making that much progress. With my daughter, I believe I only got to like, I don't even know, I think it's 12 or 14 I got to with my daughter. And then after that, it was like my body was just doing its own thing, just it knew what to do. And I think what helped with my daughter, I did do some preparation for my daughter. I did a lot of exercise. I did a lot of squatting. I bounced on the ball. I did a lot of walking. I drank the raspberry tea. I would drink a tea every single morning. Supposedly you're supposed to have like two, but I would just have one. I did a lot of cuddling with my partner. So it was just, you know, I actually worked to like allow my body to, I guess, prep a little more for labor. And that's what I was doing. So I totally recommend that. Even if you think like that's not gonna help me, I recommend it because I feel like it helped me. Because once I got there, you know, I was at a 4, so I got to 5 really fast. I remember I started feeling my contractions and I was chilling. I feel like contractions 5 and below, for me personally, they were not bad at all. Like I could talk, I could walk. It was just like cramping for me, and that's it. But I was already at a 4 and a 5. So, you know, that's something that's different for every woman, because I've seen or I've heard of other women that when they're at a 3, they're in a lot of pain and stuff like that. So it does have to do with pain tolerance. But with pain tolerance, honestly, I think I have a high pain tolerance. But even if you have a low pain tolerance, you can totally, completely, 100% go through natural labor all the way if you prepare yourself. If you do not know how to breathe, if you didn't like prep your cardio or your muscles to go through labor, then, you know, you might have a really hard time getting there to deliver your baby completely natural. But it's totally possible. But if you prep yourself mainly with your breathing, you can knock that out the park. Literally, like, you can do it. And I can assure you that, because even though my son, you know, I told you I wanted to do it completely natural, but I did not prep myself for it. I just thought like, oh, I could do it because my body could do it. I guess I said I did not help myself whatsoever. I just had high expectations and I didn't do anything to meet those high expectations. With my daughter, I tried my best, and I can tell you I tried my best because I started doing stuff around 35 weeks. Like I said, around 35 weeks is when I really wanted to like commit to it, because I wasn't sure how dilated I was, but my belly just felt so heavy and I was like so tired of kind of like being big, because I felt big. But anyways, so I started doing all of that. But what helped me out the most was meditation. I did a lot of what is it called, hypnobirthing meditation. You know, when you kind of like, there's a lot of videos on YouTube. I totally recommend YouTube, honestly. That's the go-to. And I would do it at night in a way that I would practice my breathing, and I would tell my mind and my body that I could do it. And it helped me. Like, I know it sounds crazy, or some people are like, what they don't believe in that, but it's all mental. If literally, like, you can prepare yourself mentally, you can do it no matter what, because it's all about controlling your breathing. And that's what I did with my daughter. Literally, what helped me out the most was me being able to control my breathing. There was not any time in my labor that I freaked out and I didn't know how to breathe, and I felt like I was out of air, and I felt like my body was tense. No, I did not feel that whatsoever. And let me tell you, with contractions, once you start transitioning, which I think is after like a 5, or once you get to a 5 is when you kind of like start transitioning. That's when it gets so painful. Like, literally, you almost feel like you're gonna die. Like, you feel like you almost can't get through it, you know. You're just, it's just, the level of pain is just undescribable. And so if you can control that from 5 to 10, you're already halfway there. You're almost there. If you can control your breathing from 5 to 10 and kind of like keep that momentum of your breathing going, you can do it. And labor will go by so fast, because once I hit a 5, they had to rupture my water. My doctor came to rupture my water, and I knew that once they broke my water, that was like game on, you know. So I knew what to expect. So once they broke my water, guys, that's when right away, same thing, like 10-15 minutes later, my crazy contractions started, but I knew what to do. So I just kept breathing. Even in between contractions, I would keep my body relaxed. I would breathe a lot of breathing. And that way, once my contractions started happening, I was already on my momentum of having a good breathing routine. And even like, I don't know if you guys saw my labor and delivery video, I totally recommend watching it, but I would go with my hand like this because I wanted to keep control, you know. And even when I lost control, because I'm not saying like, oh, like I mastered it, no, I'm not saying that. Even when I did lose control of my breathing, right away I was able to jump back in, you know what I mean? Or because sometimes I would go like I don't know, I would do like a little shake with my body, like kind of like from the pain my body would react in that action, but I was able to kind of like go back into my breathing and just keep controlling it, you know what I mean? Because it all has to do with your breathing. Like, it sounds crazy, but it all has to do with your breathing. And trust me, because that was the biggest difference from my son and my daughter, my breathing. I was able to control my breathing with my daughter, and my labor was so much smoother, so much more peaceful when it came to my contractions. And with my son, you guys know, like I was going crazy. Like I just didn't know what to do. I wanted to run out of the hospital and come back and have my baby in my arms. Like that's what I wanted to do. Anyways, so once I got to a level of I couldn't handle the pain anymore, because it came to that point where I felt like I couldn't do it no more, you know? And now I know why. But at that time, I was telling my husband, I was like, oh my goodness, like it's only been 2 hours, because they broke my water at 2 p.m., around 2 p.m. And then it was like 3:50, and I looked at the clock, and my body, I felt so much pain and like such a weird feeling that I was like, I don't know if I could do it. And my husband told me, babe, if you think that, you know, you're gonna stress for the next hour or so, just get the epidural. And I was like, you know what, like I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna get the epidural. And I called my nurse, and I was telling my husband before that, you know, once I told him, you know what, like call the nurse so I could get the epidural, so I could relax, I told him. And then I remember I just felt like I needed to go to a restroom so bad. I felt, but I wasn't sure it was the baby. Like I knew that once you start feeling like you want to push, it's like supposedly the baby. But I was like, there's no way that what I want to push out is my baby. So I just kept telling my husband, like, babe, I feel like something's coming out. I feel like my intestines are coming out, but that's because I felt like I needed to go to a restroom. So I just kept telling him, like, something's coming out. And he was like, it's okay, honey, it's okay. And he would like try to calm me down, having no idea that my baby was freaking almost out. Like she was ready, like pretty much like my son, you know. But with my son, I had the epidural. I had no idea what was going on. And with my daughter, I felt all the pain and the discomfort of like wanting to push, but I had no idea that I wanted to push her out already. And it had only been 2 hours. I was expecting to be in crazy contractions for a long time, because that's how my labor was with my son. It was extremely long, so I felt like for her it was going to be the same thing. Anyways, My nurse, right before Anthony calls her, she hears me saying, I need to push. I need to push. I need to go to the restroom, I said. And she opened the door so fast and she's like, don't push, don't push. That's probably the baby. And so she like picked me up with my husband because I was like in this position because I just felt something was there, but it's crazy. I don't know how I did not know it was my daughter. But anyways, I was in this like position, and then I lean back in my bed, and then she barely checks me. Like literally, she barely taps her hand down there, and she's like, "Oh," she's like, "You, the baby's right there. Don't push, don't push." And literally, like, she started calling the doctor, started prepping, blah 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 blah. So right there, everything went super fast, you know. And I was in so much pain, guys, but I'm so thankful I prepped myself with my breathing, because when I was breathing through those crazy contractions, like I look at my video and I'm like, wow, like in my head I was like, oh my god, this hurts so much, this hurts so much, I can't do this, I can't do this. I just kept telling myself like, this is too painful. Obviously, it's a different day. It's been like a year since I recorded. I'm just kidding. It's been like 2 weeks since you watched me last time. I obviously did my hair. I'm a new woman, but last time I just got so distracted. Things started happening, you know, so I just couldn't keep going with the video at that time. But here I am picking up where I left off. And like I was saying, like the pain was incredible. Like it's undescribable. It's something that you have to go through to understand. But what really got me through it was my breathing, able to manage my breathing, able to really relax myself, my body, my muscles, me mentally. Like I would literally tell myself, even in my labor and delivery video, you guys could see me tell myself like, my body is meant for this, because I knew my body could do it. It was just me trying to keep calm in throughout the experience. Now, when the whole contractions, when they were happening, I did that pretty well. Like I was able to manage that. But the biggest difference from my son's labor and my daughter's labor was the pushing. With my daughter, I didn't have any medication at all, you know. I was in there for a short amount of time compared to my son's. With my son, I started pushing after like 50 hours of labor. So it was like a long labor. With my daughter, I got there like at midnight. They started me on Pitocin at around 3 a.m. But by I had her at 4, and so it wasn't really that big of a gap, about like 12 hours of labor with my contractions. But the biggest difference was the pushing. With my son, I had the epidural. Like I said, the pushing was completely different than my daughter's, because the epidural, I felt more relaxed. I would just do what they would tell me to do. With my daughter, I didn't have the epidural. And so with my daughter, I felt everything. Like I felt her there. I felt like something was coming out. It's crazy because like you literally feel everything. And so when they let me down to start pushing, I literally like, I think my mind, that's when I started freaking out, because I was like, how am I going to push this baby out? Like I had done it before, but for some reason in that moment, I kind of like froze. And I would tell my husband that I couldn't do it. I would tell the nurse that I couldn't do it, because I literally, I just, all I thought about was, how am I going to do that? How am I going to push her out? And I just felt like she was a big baby for some reason, because of how heavy my belly felt the whole time. But once they got me more relaxed and stuff, and I was able to push, because my nurse, she didn't want me to start pushing until the doctor was there, because like the baby was like almost there, you know. Somebody had to catch it, obviously. So once the doctor got there, that's when it was go time. Everything went so fast They literally like just got there, sat down and waited for me to push. And obviously you have to push with every contraction, and I felt the contractions, but I just wanted to keep pushing even if the contractions were not there, because I just felt so much pressure, and I felt myself stretching to the max. And I just thought to myself, like, I gotta get her out, you know. So I wanted to push, and I wanted to keep pushing even when the contraction wasn't there. That's why in my video you could see that I was pushing even without contractions. So they would tell me like to relax, to just breathe and stuff, but I literally just wanted her out. And that's the thing with the epidural. I felt like for the pushing, the epidural is amazing. It helps you so much in a way that you will relax. The only downside is that you don't know how hard you're pushing, you know. You don't know how the progress is going down there, you know, because you're just pushing and hoping that you're doing it right. With my daughter, I was freaking out during the pushing because I felt everything, and it hurt. It really, really hurt. The contractions definitely were terrible, but just me pushing her out, there was just so many feelings, and I got so tired so fast. And I honestly didn't push right whatsoever, because I pushed with my face. Like all my my blood vessels on my face and on my neck, they popped. I had a bunch of like dots all over my face and my neck and on my chest, on my back, because the way I was pushing with my face and also my bottom. But you're just supposed to push with your bottom, you know, like basically like you're going to the restroom in a way. But I don't know what I was doing, and I felt myself fainting, literally. Like I would push and I would hold my breath, but I felt getting lightheaded, and I felt like I was passing out. And that's not what you're supposed to feel when you're pushing. You're just of course you're gonna feel tired from pushing, but if you feel like you're passing out, then obviously you're doing it wrong, you know. So I did do that with my daughter, so I felt like the epidural would have helped me with the pushing, because with my daughter the pushing was just traumatizing, to be honest. And it was so fast. I only pushed for, I believe, 18 minutes or something like that. I didn't push for so long. But yeah, guys, so I felt like the pushing with my daughter was very hard. It was something that obviously with my son I didn't feel at all. I was more relaxed. I was more like peaceful. And with my daughter, I was just freaking out. And when the ring of fire came, oh my goodness, guys, I felt, I don't even know how to describe it. Like I want to put her back in, but I knew that she was almost there. And my doctor and my nurse especially, she will calm me down, because obviously when the ring of fire happens, which is where your baby is like, basically her head is right there, it's about to come out, you know, that's where you stretch so much and you could tear so easily. If you like literally just push them out, you will cause yourself to tear. And thankfully I didn't tear at all, but I felt like I was tearing. Yeah, like I felt like everything was ripping apart, because it just hurt so much. And once her head was out, literally you just have to give like another big push, and that's it, and everything is pretty much done. But like when you feel that ring of fire, all you want to do is close your legs and like put the kid back in my belly. But honestly, after that, after you feel that, labor is basically over. You're done. So with the epidural, no epidural, it's honestly up to you. But my number one advice is literally prep yourself mentally, prep your body, do some squatting, some exercise, just to have a little more, I guess, I don't know, like practicing the pushing and stuff, or even help your baby engage with your labor and stuff like that. I've heard that helps a lot. But definitely prep yourself. I think that you have to prep yourself mentally to really get through it, because honestly that's what helped me out the most. And when it comes to epidural, no epidural, it does not matter. Like, I throw that out the window. I went through both experiences, with an epidural, without an epidural. Both experiences were completely different, obviously, but with my daughter, I wish I had the epidural for the pushing, and with my son, I wish I had the mental control that I had with my daughter throughout the whole labor. So honestly, it's all up to you, but this is my experience. That's basically my birth story for both of my kids. And well, thank you guys so much for watching the video. That's pretty much it. Bye.